Hi, my name is Leigh. Thanks for being a part of our 30-day mindfulness challenge. I'm here today to lead you through a back care sequence with the theme of having our own backs. Today we're going to stretch and strengthen the muscles of the back. So that includes not only the sides of the waist, shoulders, neck, arms, but especially the core, which we tend to think of as just the tummy, but is actually everything below the rib cage. So we'll be working the whole body, but with a focus and emphasis on the back. Go ahead and start by lying down, adding support underneath the knees if you need it, and finding a position that is face up on your mat that is comfortable to hold for a few minutes. Close your eyes and start by really feeling your body on the mat in whatever space or room you're in. Hands are on the floor next to you, palms turned up. Focusing on your breath and drawing that breath through your body from the crown of your head down to the tips of your toes. Invite the front of your body to drop into the support of the back of your body. Invite the back of your body to settle into the support of your mat and the floor. Allow the breath to get even more full, deep, and smooth. Keeping your eyes closed, bring your hands together and rub your palms, creating some heat, creating some warmth. And then place your palms over your eyes. You can keep the eyes closed or you can allow them to open here. But either way, just feel that warmth and heat bathing the eye sockets, relaxing your face and forehead, relaxing the mind. Bring the palms together again. Again, rub so that you create some heat and noise. And this time, cup your ears with your palms. Again, just experiencing that sensation of the warmth bathing into the ears. Keeping your eyes closed, begin to give yourself a gentle but firm scalp massage with the tips of your fingers. Tracing slow circles at the roots of your hair. And you can move anywhere on your scalp that feels right. So without thinking about it too much, just allowing the hands to move, releasing tension from the scalp and head and brain. Continuing to breathe deeply, allowing the belly to rise and fall with the breath. And now bringing your fingertips down to the base of your ears, we're going to actually grab the ears sort of at the root where the bottom of the ears meet the sides of your head. So just above where you would have earrings. You're going to take your index fingers and thumbs and just grab a hold of that little piece of flesh in between the opening of your ear and the base of the ear. And grabbing a hold of that, gently pull down towards the floor and then pull the hands away from each other. Imagining that you have a rope that connects your ears running through the skull and you're just stretching that rope open. And then releasing that, letting your hands come to your belly, closing your eyes again, and tuning back into the breath. Breathing so deeply that your hands lift up on the inhale and sink down towards your spine on the exhale. Set an intention for the rest of your practice, the rest rest of this yoga. What made you start this video? What made you get on your mat right here and right now? Could be greater ease in your back. Could be accountability for the 30-day mindfulness challenge. Could be a specific goal that you're working towards, the intention for this whole challenge. Whatever it is, and maybe it's a combination of all of these things that made you participate here and now. Set that goal, set that intention inside. See it in your mind's eye. And then releasing all of that, tuning back into the breath again. Let the hands really rise and fall with your deep breathing. Open your eyes, and as you do so, notice the colors and the textures that you see above you. Bring your arms out to your sides in a T position, palms up. Bend your right knee, bringing that foot in, flat on the mat. And then same thing with the left foot. And then push your feet down, lifting the hips up and tucking the tailbone under. So you've got some space in the low back, and it's making full contact with the mat. Widen the feet so that they come to the edges of your mat, or maybe even just past the edges of your mat. And very gently allow both legs to move from side to side like windshield wipers. We're just noticing how the hips feel, how the low back feels. Bringing some gentle, easy movement through the hip sockets. Just seeing how everything feels. The next time that your knees come up, pause and walk the feet in closer to one another and then closer towards the hips. One more time, press the feet down to lift the hips up, tuck that tailbone under, flatten that low back down to the mat. So the low back is making really strong, firm contact with your mat. You're going to use your belly muscles to keep that strong, firm contact, lifting the right foot straight up towards the sky. So keep that low back glued down as you begin a slow lift and lowering of just that right leg. Letting that right heel come down to hover just above the floor, and then engaging the tummy muscles to lift that whole leg back up into the sky. So you can go as slowly as feels right to you. Actually, the more slowly you go, the more benefit and challenge you'll get. So don't feel like you need to rush this. Really control it with those stomach muscles. Lower and lift the leg. The next time that your heel comes towards the floor, pause there, hover, and lengthen from that right heel all the way through to the crown of the head. Use the belly muscles to lift that leg all the way up. And then let that right knee bend. We're going to hug both knees in and rock from side to side. So this is essentially a face-up child's pose. So see if you can enjoy the sensation of the low back stretching open and releasing tension. And we'll repeat that same thing on the other leg. So let the legs come to center, plant the right foot down, bring the arms back out to the sides in that T shape as you stretch the left foot to the sky. Glue your low back down and keep it glued down as you lift and lower that left leg, using the stomach muscles. If this is feeling really easy, slow it down. Really let that leg hover above the floor, lengthen and scoop the belly before you lift it back up. You can also lift the arms up to make it harder. So If it's feeling challenging and difficult, push the arms down more, providing support through the upper body. If it's feeling easy, lift the arms up so that the tummy is really driving all the movement. Are you holding your breath? Keep breathing deeply, maybe matching the breath to the movement. The next time that heel comes towards the floor, pause and hover your leg. Press that low back down, scoop the belly, lengthen from your left heel to the top of your head. And then use those tummy muscles to lift that leg all the way up. Go ahead and bend both knees, let them come in again. Hug and rock side to side. Pausing center, let your hands come onto the mat next to you, palms down. Press that low back down, really root it down as you lift your toes, activating the feet. Squeeze the legs together and press them into a 90-degree angle. So even though this might not look like much, the stomach is working to keep the low back down. So even just by holding this L shape with the legs, if you really scoop the belly and push that low back down, the stomach is working, as well as the muscles of the back. Keep breathing. If you're feeling any shaking, just let it happen. Pull the right knee in as you extend the left heel to the mat. Grab your right leg on that shin and pull the knee up towards your shoulder. So it angles towards the armpit, towards the shoulder, pulling it as close to your body as feels comfortable, and then breathing your stomach up against the right thigh. Release your leg, let it straighten, and then control it all the way to the mat. Once your heel meets the mat, just relax everything for a moment. And then engage everything, drawing both knees in. This time we're going to hold still, pull the legs as close to you as you can, and breathe your stomach up against the thighs. So before, when we did this rocking, it was about the low back, and now it's about the stomach, pressing up against the thighs. Release your hands, straighten your legs, float them to the mat. This time the right heel stays down as the left knee draws up and in, angling towards that left shoulder. Breathe your stomach against the left thigh. Release that leg and control your heel to the floor. And again, once it gets there, just relax everything for a moment. So moving into a Kundalini balance exercise, go ahead and activate the feet again so the kneecaps and toes are reaching towards the ceiling. We're going to draw opposite arm and knee in and then out. So back and forth, side to side. You can match this with your breath, or if you just find a steady rhythm, just like before, the more slowly that you go, the more benefit you'll get. The palms stay up, and if you can, see if you can also keep your heel hovered above the floor. So as you switch sides, that heel is lifted just above the mat. If that's too much or that creates any strain on the low back, go ahead and let the heel come all the way down, that's fine. So as my left knee comes up, my right hand is lifting, and then switching sides, right knee, left hand. Back and forth, keeping that low back glued to the mat. The next time that your left knee comes up, go ahead and let the right heel come all the way down to the mat. And then allow the toes on your left foot to gently make contact with the inner thigh. We're just going to hook on that inner thigh for an easy twist. So that left leg coming across the body, Inviting that left arm to come out to the side in that T shape, palm up. If it's okay on your neck, you could also turn your head to look over that left shoulder. So whatever position the body's in, just breathe deeply into it. Feel the whole length of your spine twisting. Come out of this by bringing your gaze back to the ceiling, and then unwind the body. We're going to hug both knees in again. So drawing them in, rocking side to side. This time again, focusing on the low back, inviting it to release and relax open. And then we'll activate the core one more time. We'll do another round of that Kundalini balance exercise. So again, nice and slow, smooth with control, keeping the low back down. Either allowing the heels to hover, if that feels okay on your back, or if that's just too much, letting them make contact with the floor. Continuing to breathe deeply, slowly, smoothly. The next time that your left heel is extended out to the mat, go ahead and let it come all the way down. Hook the toes of the right foot on that inner left thigh. Let that leg twist you open. So the right arm extends to the side in a T position. Check in with your neck. If it gives you permission, you could also turn your head to the right to look over that right shoulder. So whatever shape you're in, breathe deeply along the length of the spine. Feel that full body twist. Come out of this by bringing your gaze back to the ceiling. Unwind, hug both knees in again. This time we're going to curl the nose up towards the knees. So we curl the whole body into a little ball, tight ball, and then lengthen the back of your neck as you bring your head to the mat. Release that left heel down to the floor. Release the right heel down to the floor. Stretch your arms overhead, and then full body stretch. Pulling the wrists and the ankles away from each other. And then right and left. Stretch that right hand a little bit further than the left. Stretch the left hand a little further than the right. Do that one more time each side. Feel the opening through the shoulders and the sides of the waist. Draw the right knee back in. Draw the left knee back in. One more time, we're going to do that dead bug position with the body. So hands on the mat, palms down, low back, glutes down. Bring the legs into that L shape, that 90-degree angle. Maybe feeling a little shake in the body as the stomach works to hold it there. Draw the knees back in. Rock side to side. Rock all the way onto your right side. And support your head with your upper right arm. And then use that left hand to press yourself all the way up to a hands and knees position. As you get there, open your hands really wide. So open the fingers wide, open the palms up. Really press the hands into the mat. You could add a blanket under your knees here if this is uncomfortable. We're going to stack the elbows just above the wrists and the shoulders just above the elbows. And then notice if you're locking your elbows. For some of us, this can feel a little unstable. There's a tendency to lock the joints. So see if you can soften them so there's a little micro bend in the elbows using the muscles to hold this shape. Lengthen from the crown of your head out through your tailbone. And just feel your body in space here, breathing deeply. Can you feel how the stomach is working even here to hold you in this shape? Wherever you're at in your breathing cycle, exhale. And as you inhale, let your belly drop down, look up. Exhale, press, tuck and round. Push the floor away, chin to chest. We're going to go back and forth. Every time you inhale, look up, drop the belly. Every time you exhale, belly button comes in towards the spine, chin to chest. You can go on your own breath rhythm here, or you can stay with my rhythm. Inhale, broaden the collarbones, open the heart, lift the gaze. Exhale, push that floor away, chin to chest, tuck the tailbone, just like a Halloween cat. And the next time that you inhale, go ahead and bring that right leg with you. So the right leg reaches back, spread the toes, and then pull that right knee in as you move into your cat tuck. So again, back and forth, following your own breath rhythm or whatever rhythm feels best. Spread the toes, stretch that leg back, and then really draw that knee in towards your forehead. One more. Stretch that leg out so that it comes to the level of your hips. And hold it there. So this is option one. Option two would be to lift that left hand out in front, palm in. Option three, if you're feeling really strong and stable, is you could open and close that shape a few times with your breath, but that's only if you're feeling really rock solid here. So choosing the shape that works best for you, just the leg and the arm, or opening and closing both. Breathe into it wherever you're at. And then letting your hand and foot come back to the mat. The right toes are going to stay tucked under as we gently push that right heel back towards the floor. So calf stretch on that right leg. And then bringing that knee in, we're going to come all the way onto our bellies with the right leg out to the side. So as you come down, allow that right leg to slide out next to you. Take your time, just really be mindful of that inner thigh, that hip. If this is too much, you could either pull that foot in so it's closer to your pelvis, or you could just straighten that leg, just coming flat onto your belly. But if you can, keep that right leg out to the side so that as you begin to nestle down with the arms, you've got a little bit of inner thigh stretch on that right leg. Bend your right elbow and let your forehead rest on your right forearm. That left arm is out to the side in a cactus shape. Pause there. See if you can breathe so deeply that your belly actually pushes into the floor and pushes your back up towards the ceiling. Can you relax or soften anything here? Releasing that shape, go ahead and straighten that left arm and that right leg so that you're just flat on your mat, on your stomach. Hands are right underneath your shoulders and squeeze the shoulders up. So a baby cobra, we're using the low back muscles to lift the hands and the shoulders together, lift the gaze. And then plant your hands back down and push yourself back into a child's pose. So hips come back to the heels, arms are stretched out in front. And we're gonna move through these shapes a few times. So start by pulling yourself up into your cat stretch, chin to chest. Shift your weight forward so that your stomach is acting as the brakes. Elbows are gonna actually touch your body, come all the way back down to the mat. This time, fingertips Out to the sides, just off of the mat, elbows are reaching to the ceiling. Push your fingertips down to lift the heart, the shoulders, and the gaze. Feel the low back working even here. And then release, plant the hands under the shoulders, push back into child's. Relax that low back. Stretching up into that cat shape. Tailbone tucked under, chin to chest. Lengthen the spine, shift the weight forward. So a straight line from your head down through your knees. The stomach is working, acting as brakes as you lower all the way down, elbows come by your sides. Bring those fingers out again to the sides for pop tent fingers. Push down with the fingers to lift the heart. Lift the shoulders, lift the gaze. Collarbones are wide. Come halfway down, look over that right shoulder. Little easy twist. And then push up as high as is comfortable, lengthen. Halfway down, look over that left shoulder. One more time, squeeze those low back muscles to lift you up. And then release everything. Hands plant under the shoulders, push back to child's. Lift up through the middle of the back, cat stretch. Lengthen the spine, shift forward, long torso. Elbows squeeze the body as you come down. This time bring your hands towards each other. So if you can interlace fingers, that's great. If you can't, it's great too. You could grab your wrist with your right hand, grabbing the left wrist, or maybe even just hands towards each other if they don't touch. So any configuration of that, the hands stay towards one another as you lift the shoulders up. Lift your feet and stretch your toes towards the edges of your mat. Spread the toes open. Hands reaching towards each other. Squeeze the legs together and stretch them back out to the corners of the mat 2 more times. Keep breathing deeply. Gazes forward. 1 more time. Toes come towards each other. Reach them out towards the edges of the mat and then lift everything, whatever you can. Lift it up, lengthen it, and then relax all of that. Come down to the floor. We're going to reverse that stretch. So this time the left leg comes out to the side. If it feels okay on the inner thigh muscles, the head rests on the left forearm and that right arm comes into a scarecrow shape by your side. Remember, if that's just too much, just rest on your belly. You could still bring your forehead to your forearm or to the mat. Whatever shape feels best, just letting go of everything. Straightening your arms and legs so that you're on your stomach on the mat. Hands plant underneath the shoulders, push up to hands and knees. So back to that shape that we were in before, with the shoulders above the wrists and the hips above the knees. We're going to do that cat-cow position again, this time adding the left leg along. So dropping the belly, look up, inhale. Exhale, press, tucking round, chin to chest. Let's do 1 more without the leg. So again, inhale, open, exhale, close. And with the next inhalation, reach that left leg back, spread the toes. As you exhale, tuck around, pull that left knee in towards your forehead. And continue that movement slowly, smoothly at your own breath rhythm. Check the elbows, make sure that you're not locking out through that joint. Keep them a little bit bent. The next time that your leg comes back behind you, we're going to pause there. So again, option 1, you could have just the leg. Option 2, add that right hand out, palm in. Option 3, only if you're feeling super duper steady, you could open and close a few times with the breath. But again, that's only if you're feeling really steady and want extra challenge here. Otherwise, holding just the leg or the hand and the leg. Whatever shape you're in, breathing deeply, keeping the breath with the body, and then relaxing everything back to the mat. Tuck those left toes under, push that left heel back, stretch the calf. Bring the left shin in to meet the mat, back into child's pose one more time. Hips to the heels, walk the hands forward. Let your forehead rest. So you want your forehead to be making contact with something so that the head and neck can relax. So if your forehead reaches the mat, that's great. If it doesn't, you could let it rest on a fist, or maybe 2 fists stacked, or you could grab your block and allow it to rest on the block. So any way that it happens, allow the forehead to be supported so the neck can relax. Close your eyes. And breathe into the back of your body. Focus on pulling the breath into the low back, the sides of the waist, underneath your shoulder blades, the backs of your ribs. Often in yoga, we're so focused on the breath being in the front of the body that we sometimes forget that it moves through every part, including the back. Lifting your gaze, straighten your arms, and walk both hands off the left side of your mat. So just to the outside of the left side of your mat. And now that right hand is winning. If your 2 hands were racing, the right fingertips are just a little bit further than the left fingertips. And you may feel a really big stretch down into the lats on the right side of your waist, just underneath the armpit. Lift up, let both hands walk through center, take it over to the left. So just off that right, to the right, just off the right side of your mat, and now the left fingertips are winning. Going just a little further than the right fingertips. Feel that big stretch. Bring the hands back to center and take about 3 more deep breaths into that child's pose, just letting everything soften. Lift back up into hands and knees. And from hands and knees, we're going to come up onto the shins in camel pose. So we just bring the body straight up on the shins and pause here. Bring the shoulders up to the ears and roll them open and back a few times. And then pause, letting the spine be tall. Inhale, sweep the hands up overhead. We're going to stretch that right hand a little bit further than the left, just as we did lying down. And then stretch that left hand a little bit further than the right. Let it relax down. Lift both hands up together, weather being twist to the right. So the right hand goes back behind you, left hand in front. If you're feeling steady, you could look towards your right thumb. Inhale, lengthen the whole spine, take that to the left. Inhale, lengthen the whole spine. Let that right hand drop down to your side, to that right thigh. And let your body lean to the right. That left arm is over the left ear. Use your stomach muscles. Lift yourself all the way up and take it to the other side. Use your stomach muscles to lift yourself up. Both hands sweep up again. Let the palms meet and come to the heart center. Coming to standing in whatever way works for you. Grab your block and bring it to the front of your mat. So facing forward, I'm going to turn to the side just so you can see me, but you can stay facing forward on your mat. Begin by accessing mountain pose. So the palms turn forward, that opens the heart. You might rock forwards and backwards on the feet, bringing the weight more into the toes and then back into the heels. You want to feel really steady and solid. Imagining that you have roots growing out of the bottoms of your feet, anchoring you into the earth, giving you stability. We're going to use that stability to come into a balance pose. So begin by pouring the weight into the left foot and start to bring that right knee up. So option one, you could keep the right big toe on the floor the whole time. Option two, you could lift that foot just a little bit, so it's just hovering above the floor. Or option three, if you're feeling strong and stable, you could bring that leg all the way up into a 90-degree angle. So finding whatever leg shape feels best to you, and then really draw up through that left leg, through that standing leg. Bring the left hand overhead as that right hand stays back down beside you. Both palms are in and we're pulling the fingertips away from each other. Breathe deeply, don't hold your breath. Lengthen. Find the balance, use the tummy and the core to keep your balance. And then let all of that go coming back to the mat. Grab your block, bring it in between the thighs. So you're still facing forward on the mat. We're gonna squeeze the block with the thighs. So feet are still hip distance apart. Knees right above the ankles, hips right above the knees. Sweep the arms overhead so that they're at the outsides of the ears. Bend both knees, let your hips sink back. So it's not much, it's just a slight bend. Knees are staying well behind the toes. And then squeeze the block so that you activate the inner thigh muscles and let that tailbone be heavy. And release, let the legs straighten, let the arms come down. We're gonna keep that block right where it's at and move through a psoas release. So psoas is a really deep, crazy muscle that can create a lot of back pain and tension. And for most of us, it is aggravated because we sit more than our bodies were really meant to. So as we do this, you may not feel anything at all. It may even be hard to follow these instructions, or you may feel a really big release. So either way, you'll still get the benefits from it. So we'll start by squeezing that block with the upper thighs, and then we're going to roll the upper thigh bones towards each other so that block pops out behind you. Think of those old Pez candy dispensers where you lift the head and the candy pops out. So keep the openness, keep the softness that you have in the front now, and just let the tailbone get heavy. And once you do that, let the shoulders relax down. Imagine a string coming out of the crown of your head, lifting the spine tall. So you may feel the true abs fire up on the front of your body as that psoas releases. Again, you may not feel anything at all. This may just feel like an awkward, funny pose. So any which way, just hold that shape. One more huge deep breath. And then release everything, release the block, bring it back to the side of your mat. So still facing forward on your mat. Inhale, sweep the arms high. Let them come to the outsides of the ears. And then side bend, so your body just comes to the right. Leaning to the right, lift up to center, lengthen out of that low back, lean to the left. Lift up out of the low back, let the hands split in a V shape, and then lift the heart. Lift the heart, lift the gaze, soften the knees, swan dive, forward fold. As you get to your forward fold, we're not trying to touch the toes, we're trying to keep the knees above the ankles, the hips above the knees, and allow the body to relax. So the hands dangle. Flat back position, slide those fingertips up the shins, and then release, let it come back down. Let's match this to the breath a few times. So inhale, lengthen the spine, engage the belly and the low back, and then relax, exhale, slide it back down. Let's do that 2 more times. Bend
bend your knees more. Draw the belly button in and roll up to standing. So the arms dangle, the head comes up last, chin is on your chest. You're stacking your vertebrae, stacking your spine.
As your head comes up, lift the shoulders, roll them open and back a few times. And then bring the palms forward. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, weather vane twist to the right. So right hand comes back, left hand comes forward. Look back towards that right thumb. Inhale, lift out of the low back, weather vane twist to the left. Inhale, bring the hands up, stretch that right hand a little further than the left. Relax, stretch that left hand a little further than the right. Relax. Interlace your fingers, press the palms up, side bend to the right. Lift up out of that low back, side bend to the left. Lift up out of that low back, let your hands come to the back of your head. Elbows wide, supporting the head as you lift the gaze and the heart. Bend your knees a little bit, keep those hands as you allow the body to relax into a forward fold. We're not pulling the head down, we're just keeping contact between the heels of the hands and the back of the head, just kind of resting on the occiput and the back of your skull. Let your arms be really heavy, so you're not pulling down, but you're really relaxing those arms. Engage your belly, lift halfway up, elbows wide, and then engage your belly even more. Take that all the way to standing. Release the hands back to that strong mountain pose. So we'll do that same shape on the other side. So just begin again by finding your balance, finding your stability in the feet and legs. And let that stability pour the weight into the right foot this time, letting the left foot come up. So just like before, you could keep that left big toe down, or you could lift the foot a little bit off of the mat, or you could draw that leg up into your L shape, your 90 degrees. Once you've got the leg, really draw up through that standing right leg. So drop that left hip down, draw up through the right leg, and then let that right hand come up overhead. Left hand is still down by your side. Palms are facing in, fingertips pull away from each other. You might feel the tummy working here, strong and stable. Deep breathing. Lift and lengthen any amount, and then let everything relax back to the mat. We're going to grab that block and do that same sequence that we did before one more time. So begin by squeezing the block, sweep the arms up just to the outsides of the ears, bend your knees, sinking back a few inches, and then squeeze that block. Let your tailbone relax down. This time, cactus arms, bending the elbows, the fingers to the ceiling, and then bring them forward a few inches. So we'll keep that nice squeeze with the legs as we move the arms forward and back, the fingertips forward and back to open the shoulders. Straighten the arms and the legs, and then let the hands come down. Squeeze the block with the inner thighs. Roll those inner thighs towards each other as if you're popping that Pez candy out behind you. Keep the softness in the front of the hips as the tailbone gets heavy. Imagine a string coming out of the crown of your head, drawing you up tall. Roll those shoulders open and just pause there, deep breathing. Maybe feeling the true abs fire up, maybe not. And then relax all of that. Go ahead and bring your block back to the mat. Inhale the hands up, lengthen, let the heart lift the gaze. And now let the hands drop back down behind you. So just as we did on our bellies, we're going to bring the hands together. So if you can interlace and you want to interlace, that's great. If not, you could just grab one wrist, or you can even just bring the hands towards each other. So any which way, we're going to keep the hands towards one another as we hinge forward.
The knees are bent as much as you need to make this feel comfortable. And then holding those arms up here, we're going to play with the arms. So you can let them come towards your head. You can lift them straight up to the ceiling, or you could reach them back towards the hips. So just play with them. Try those different movements, see which one feels best, and breathe deeply into all of those options. Same if you can keep the head really heavy, so the neck is soft, the back of the neck is long, the head's really hanging down. And then release the arms down, grab opposite elbows, widen the feet just a little bit, and let everything really sink and hang towards the floor. So a few full deep breaths here. When you inhale, imagine you're drawing the breath up the backs of the legs. When you exhale, imagine that that breath is moving from the low back along the length of the spine out the top of the head. After your next exhale, release the hands, bend your knees, come all the way back onto the floor. Stretching that left foot out so that your left heel is close to the bottom edge of your mat. Take that right foot and press the sole of your right foot into the inside of your left thigh. And you may already feel how the spine sort of naturally turns towards the right here. We're going to counteract that with a little bit of a twist. So we'll start by turning the heart towards that left leg. You got it. Sweep the arms up overhead. And then as you exhale, we're going to stretch the right hand forward and the left hand back. So we're twisting. And then taking that twist towards that left leg. So reaching the right hand down to the floor. It might make contact with the mat to the inside or outside of that left leg, but we keep pulling that right shoulder towards that left knee. Relax that twist and fold your body forward. Let your weight be supported with your hands. Again, we're not trying to touch the toes. We're just inviting the stomach towards the left thigh, stretching the back of that left thigh, the hamstrings. Breathing deeply. Seeing if you can let the body rise up on your inhale and stretch deeply on the exhale. You can curl forward as far as feels comfortable. Keep the left leg active, so that kneecap and toes reaching towards the ceiling. Imagine that you can breathe into the back of your left thigh. Imagine that you have a set of lungs in those muscles and that you're literally breathing in and out through the back of the left thigh. Anchoring that tailbone down, let the spine roll up from the tailbone, from the hips. Roll the shoulders open at the top. Bringing both feet to the mat, pull your feet in close to your hips. We're going to do a reverse tabletop to turn the body inside out. So if you have any shoulder issues whatsoever, you're going to keep your fingertips pointing towards your toes. If you don't have shoulder issues, you might play with opening the hands to the sides or maybe even pointing the fingers back. But just be careful and mindful. Check in with your shoulders as you push your body up. So push as high as you can. And then when you get there, really turn the body inside out. You can either keep your chin tucked towards your chest, you could lift your gaze to the ceiling, or you could let your head drop back. Whatever head position feels best, and then really push as high up towards the ceiling as you can. Turn the body inside out. Feel the stretch through the shoulders and the arms, and then relax all of that back down to the mat as we switch sides. Stretching that right heel towards the front edge of your mat, bringing the left sole to the inner right thigh. Sweeping the arms up, and then twisting that left hand forward and that right hand back. And then taking that over your leg. So we'll start with keeping the twist, that left shoulder still reaching towards the right knee. The hands come wherever feels best, whatever works for your body, but we're keeping the twist. Right leg stays active, breathe into it. And then releasing that twist, letting the weight pour forward. So imagine that your stomach comes to that right thigh. Hands catch the weight and support you as much as you need. Allow gravity in your body weight to help pull you into the stretch. Close your eyes and breathe so deeply that your body lifts on the inhale and softens on the exhale. Three more huge, full, deep breaths. Imagining that you have a set of lungs on the back of that right thigh, and you're literally breathing into those muscles and into those tissues. Bringing the tailbone down and rolling up. The spine uncurl. Bring both feet flat on the mat again and come onto your back. We're going to cross the right shin on top of the left thigh, and then pull the left leg in towards you until you feel a stretch in your right hip. So you might grab behind the left thigh and pull in that way. If you're feeling a little open, you might grab in front of the left shin, or you may even need to grab a strap and wrap it behind that left thigh, pulling that leg in with the strap. So any way that you can, you pull that left leg in until you feel that nice stretch on the right side, and then hold it there. You can rock from side to side, or you can hold it still. See if you can relax your head and your shoulders down onto the mat. And see if you can relax that left foot. Let it really be heavy. So you want everything to be pulling with gravity down towards the floor. Slide that right foot to the left just a little bit so that you have space to circle your ankle. Slow, full range of motion. So often with the circling, we go quickly, slow it down. Just let it be really slow and smooth, and then reverse direction, circle the other way. Release that ankle stretch. You're going to release the leg as well. And bring both feet to the edges of your mat, or maybe just past the edges of your mat.
This is the same thing that we did at the very beginning. This time we're going to go a little more deeply. So with the feet planted down, lift the hips up, tuck the tailbone under. Let the arms come out to the side in a T shape, and let both legs fall to the left in that windshield wiper stretch. So a few different options here. If this is already feeling like a big stretch in that hip or inner thigh, you're just going to stay right here. If you want a little bit more, walk that right foot an inch or two to the right. As you do that, you'll feel the stretch intensify. If you want even more, if this is feeling really easy, go ahead and fold that right foot underneath you so that you get a big stretch in the front of the thigh, and the top of the right foot is on the mat. And then once you've found that leg position that works best for you here, go ahead and stretch that right arm overhead, palm up, so that we've got a nice line of energy from the right fingertips down through the right shoulder, through the right hip, knee, side of the waist, the whole body. Breathe into it. Release that stretch. Bring that right arm back to the side in a T shape. Lift both knees up. Plant the feet, lift the hips, tuck the tailbone under, space in the low back as it comes back to the mat. Let both legs windshield wiper to the right. And just as you did before, checking in with your body. If this is enough of a stretch, staying right here. If you want a little more, walking that left foot an inch or two to the left. Or if you want a lot more, folding that left foot underneath you. Once you find the leg shape that feels best for you, that left hand comes up overhead, palm up, finding a line of energy from the left fingertips through the shoulder, through the ribs, through the hip, through that left knee. And taking about 5 huge deep breaths into the shape, noticing if it feels different on this side. Arm come back out to your side in that T shape. Bring both knees up. Both feet come back to the mat. One more time, lift the hips, tuck the tailbone under, low back, firm contact with the mat. Bring that left shin up so that it crosses over the right thigh. And this time we pull the right leg in until we get the stretch in the left hip. So just like before, you could use a strap behind the thigh. You could grab behind the thigh with your hands, or maybe you grab that right shin. So any which way, we're pulling that right leg in until we get the stretch in the left hip. And then we try to relax the head, the neck, the shoulders. We relax that right foot. You can rock side to side or hold it still. Breathe deeply into that left hip. Left foot just an inch or two to the right so that you have space to circle that left ankle. Slow and smooth full range of motion. Go as slowly as you can. Reverse direction. See if you can get so much movement in that joint that you're actually stretching the muscles and the tissues open. And then relax that. Take one more breath into the hip. Release your leg, coming back into that shape that we started in. So face up on the mat. Both legs are long. Arms come next to you on the floor, palms turned up. Add support underneath the knees if you need to. And once your body is comfortable, close your eyes. If at any point you begin to feel discomfort in the low back, bend the knees. Just come back into that flat low back shape that we've accessed several times. With your eyes closed, just staying on the floor, I'm going to come sit up, but you stay on the floor, face up. Close your eyes and tune into your breath one more time. Remember that intention that you set at the beginning of our time together, that reason that you got onto your mat today. Feel the completion of that goal and then let it go. Let the front of your body drop into the back of your body. Let the back of your body drop into the support of the floor. See if you can breathe so deeply that your belly rises and falls with your breath. Before you open your eyes, before you make any movement with your body, ask yourself, how can you have your own back? What are things that you could do in your life to better support yourself and to have your own back more fully? You don't have to think about it too much. Just ask the question and notice the answer that arises. As you open your eyes, notice the colors and textures. Bend that right knee, draw it in. Bend the left knee, draw it in. Hug the legs, hug the knees, and rock side to side one more time. Invite that low back to stretch open. Roll all the way onto your right side again. Head supported in the right upper arm. And this time, just take a little pause here. Just take a moment to soften everything. You might even close your eyes again. Really feel the support of the floor underneath you. Your left palm is making contact with the floor, with your mat. Use that left palm to press yourself up into a comfortable seated position. As you get there, let your hands come to your legs. Imagine that crown, that string coming out of the crown of the head again, pulling the spine tall. Bring your palms together in front of your heart center. Close your eyes or let your gaze be really soft on the floor in front of you. Drop your chin down a little bit so the back of the neck is long. With your eyes closed or your gaze really soft, think of something in your life that makes you happy, something that lifts you up from the inside out with joy. Let that happiness, let that feeling of joy permeate through your whole body, through your whole being. Let it especially nourish your back, your spine, and then send that sweetness, send that joy out to all beings. Thanks again for participating in our mindfulness challenge and for joining me today for having your own back. Namaste.